Hey, good afternoon. It's September 11th, 2016, and I'm here with another 6 minutes for you. If I had a dollar for just about anybody that I've ever heard pejoratively called an atheist by friends or compadres of mine, folks that basically just didn't go to church. You hear the common accusation that, quote, they do not believe in God, unquote. It kind of got me to thinking. And I do have good friends who literally have come out and identified themselves as somebody who doesn't believe in a divine being. Got it, understand. But, there's many folks out there who really aren't certain that God does not exist, and they're kind of looking for proof. They call those people agnostics. Or they didn't necessarily grow up in a household where religious practice was important. Personal example, we were kicked out the door to church on a weekly basis for about 5 or 6 years, but rarely, if ever, did our parents go along with us. It was just my sister, myself, and my two stepbrothers. Trouble is, in the here and now in America, especially with modern Christianity, at least the way it's practiced in America, you've got this doctrine that hides underneath the surface. It's called Manichaeism. And Manichaeism describes what is known as a spiritual conflict between good and evil, light and dark, black and white. We tend to live in a world where, black and white isn't all that often. We got an absolute boatload of gradations of gray that's in between the black and white that a lot of people seem to overlook. And when you get into the Christian church, not so much the mainline denominations, but especially your evangelicals, they make this differentiation between light and dark, black and white, good and evil quite often. You've got Catholics considering Protestants as being departed from the true faith. You have Jews and Muslims who are actually fellow adherents of monotheistic religion, otherwise known as people of the book, and they are seen as spiritually confused and in need of transformation. If you take the time to ask just about any mainstream or evangelical Christian what they know about the other two religions, you're liable to hear either something that they've heard over a pulpit or something that's been proclaimed over a local television news channel. That's kind of frustrating, let me tell you. Having read enough of Bible over my time as a former fundamentalist, even the basic teachings of Christ about justice, mercy, charity, they seem to have been co-opted by modern society's acceptance of what are classified as Calvinist teachings of predestination. There was a article or a book written by a sociologist about the Protestant work ethic, and basically the concept of wealth, power, and authority, and the trappings that come across as being wealthy and having authority meant that you were a righteous person. They were signs of righteousness, rather than what Christ would have classified as a corrupting influence to be shunned. Bottom line on that concept of that Protestant work ethic, if I look good, I am good, right? And that's one of the things that drives me up the wall. It makes a lot of folks who do have a sense of ethics and behave in an ethical manner without the prod of a God steer clear of churches and think twice when they have to deal with somebody who classifies themselves as a Bible thumper. Once again, in most cases, unless the person comes right out and says, I don't believe in God or a divine being, most likely the person making the accusation has pretty much left a few words out of that sentence. And what they really meant to say is, quote, they do not believe in God the way that my church says they ought to believe in God, period. And if you're one of those folks who aligns with the teachings of Paul of Tarsus in the New Testament, basically he told believers that they should spend their time and efforts judging those who are within the Christian church rather than judging those who are outside the church, and leave that to God. If God exists, God will take care of it, right? If he doesn't exist, There's nothing that an atheist has to worry about, or an agnostic, or a person who doesn't believe exactly the way you do. Once again, this is a short, sweet, to the point message for this week, 6 minutes of sanity. If you like what I've had to say here today, please feel free to shoot me a note, bowen.mike@yahoo.com. If you disagree with me, be civil and go ahead and send it to me, bowen.mike@yahoo.com. Have yourself a great afternoon.